Welcome to Squat Recs. So now we're going to talk about 3 squat variations that you can try if you're trying to work through sticking points or plateaus in your squat. You can try these as just a variation on your regular squat training, or you can use them as a supplemental exercise. The 3 variations we're going to talk about today are box squats, pause squats, and oscillatory isometric squats. The first one we're going to talk about tonight is the box squat. If you really want to learn more about box squatting, you really should go to elitefitness.com. That's elitefts.com. It's a great website with lots of articles and great products. It's run by Dave Tate of Westside Barbell. Today I'm going to show you a few things about the box squat and some things you should avoid when box squatting. First thing you want to do with box squatting is you want to find a sturdy box. A box with enough surface area that you are not trying to find the box with your butt. If it's too small, you'll hesitate because you'll be worried about falling off of the box. So make sure that you have a box or some kind of step with plenty of room. Second thing is you need to set up the box at the right height for you. Typically speaking, most people's sticking point is going to be a few inches above parallel if they are squatting to parallel, or a few inches out of the hole if they are squatting in a full squat. If you're setting things up for parallel, you want to make sure that the box is set so that the crease of the hip is in line with the top of your knee. Now this is going to put me about an inch below parallel or so. If the box is set too low, what's going to happen as you squat is you're going to sit back into the squat and then you're going to flop down at the bottom. If that happens, the box is too low for you and you need to raise it up a little bit. Also, if you come down to the squat, even if you are able to settle into it nicely, but then in order to get out of the squat, you need to rock to get out of the squat, again, the box is probably set up a little bit too low for you, so you'll need to raise it a little. When box squatting, you want to make sure that everything is solid and tight throughout. When you sit down on the box, there's a tendency for people to relax, and this can be really dangerous to the lower back. So make sure that as you set up, you're setting up tightly, and when you sit onto the box, you want to make sure that everything stays as tight as possible. Set up in front of the box. Deep breath. Sit back onto the box, and from this position, drive straight up. Now, some programs will actually teach the trainee to rock out of the bottom of the box. Now, the problem with this is that there's going to be some back flexion and extension throughout your squat. I recommend against rocking at the bottom of the squat. Some is probably going to be unavoidable, but for the most part, you want to keep your upper body steady throughout. Now, if you are training with the box squat in order to break up the eccentric and the concentric chain, which some people do, you will sit to the box, you will pause, and you will relax at the hip flexors, and at the hip flexors only. This will require some practice, and if you make a mistake and relax your abdomen, for example, your lower back, other muscle groups, you could be in trouble. So definitely take your time learning this exercise and read everything that you can about it if you are interested in that. Pause squats are another excellent variation on regular squatting. A lot of people will use these in place of box squats. The movement is essentially the same. You'll be doing a squat, and then at the bottom of your squat, or at your sticking point, or maybe an inch or two below your sticking point, you're just going to pause there for a few seconds. maintaining that isometric contraction, staying as tight as you possibly can, and then driving out of the hole. There are a few things to remember when doing pause squats. You really need to be razor sharp throughout, and you need to make sure that you maintain tension. This is going to be tough, and if you maintain that pause for any appreciable length of time, you could run into some oxygen debt and you could be in trouble. So be cautious when performing this exercise. Pause squats. The last squat variation I'm going to talk to you about tonight are oscillatory isometric squats. They're very similar to pause squats in that there is an isometric contraction, except you're not going to pause at a particular point in your squat. What you're going to do with oscillatory isometric squats is you're going to lower to that sticking point, maybe an inch or two below that sticking point. You're going to drive out and a few inches above that sticking point, and then from this point you're going to relax and sink down a couple inches below that sticking point, and then drive up, relax, come down, drive up, relax, come down, drive up, relax, come down. It's called oscillatory isometrics because you are oscillating between what is essentially an isometric contraction and what is supposed to be a free fall down 2 inches below your sticking point. You want to go really light with this exercise, probably even body weight to start. The idea behind the oscillatory isometric squat, depending on who you're talking to, is that it's a good variation for athletes because it teaches the athlete to drive and generate tension very quickly, and then very quickly relax and lose that tension, which is exceedingly important in athletics. Is this important for powerlifters and strength sport athletes? Perhaps. Take some time to think it over and decide whether this exercise is for you. It certainly does pose some risks. With the oscillatory isometric squats, it's really easy to lose your groove. It's really easy to find yourself out of position. Because of that, it is very important that you don't push this exercise. This is an exercise that should be done with light weights. If you're interested in reading more about oscillatory isometrics, you can check out some articles at innosport.net. That's INNO-sport.net. They have some interesting articles there by Dietrich Buchenholz, aka DB Hammer. Just to warn you, Dietrich Buchenholz is looked at by many on the internet and the S&C community as a fictional character and a bit of a quack. However, he has some really interesting ideas. Take a look at those articles and make your own decision. There are some great articles also at the innosport.net site by Brad Nuttall, Chris Corfist, Kelly Baggett too, I believe. So definitely give that website a look. If you're interested in learning more about box squats, check out elitefitness.com. That's elitefts.com. You'll find great resources from Westside Barbell articles written by Louis Simmons, Dave Tate, Jim Wendler, and many others. Great stuff there.